Hi, I'm Jim Davis, and these are micro thoughts about the philosophy of voluntarism. Building blocks. I think less than half of the self-proclaimed anarchists and voluntarists understand what they preach, half as well as they think they do, and what they do know is less than half of what they need to know in order to understand how much more they need to know. This is why I keep my distance from so many. Not because I think I'm smarter than they are, but because they know they are smarter than I am. This isn't about insulting anyone as much as it is about recognizing how many people disregard the simplicity of philosophical building blocks for the complexity of some grand conspiracy which ends up being nothing more than a symptom of dismissing the smallest idea. Well, what does that really mean? In short, it means people understand haphazardly the hows of a lot of different things versus the why a lot of different things are invoked, such as why is morality invoked? How is morality applicable? They'll point to a Bible or a Quran, or they'll say the non-aggression principle, or they'll say natural law or something like that, but they won't actually answer the question of why is morality invoked? What is the purpose of morality? What is the purpose of government? What's the purpose of counting? So let's start with that, shall we? Counting. Why is this important? Well, why do we label specific quantities with different designations? Well, it's all about organization and control. We want to organize certain things to be able to control them better. And why do we want to control things? Well, we want to control things so that we can understand how better to maintain and improve the quality of our lives. So if I didn't mention any of that to you and I just came up to you and I said, well, what's the square root of 16? You might say 4. I'll ask you why. You might explain to me that it might be because it needs to be something along the lines of the same number multiplied by the same number, so on and so on. And then if I just say, well, what if it's just the rules of multiplication and division? You'll tell me, oh, it's pretty simple, but okay. And then I might say, well, what do you think you need to know before you can multiply and divide? Addition and subtraction, you might tell me. Well, what about that? What before that? How to count, maybe, you might say. And then I'll ask you, why do we count? And then if I didn't say anything to you before about this, you'll probably just kind of give me this funny look. I don't know, so you can add and subtract and multiply and divide? That's what a lot of people say. I know, because I work in a warehouse where I teach the new hires that come in. I'm responsible for training many of them. So I'll ask them those questions there. And here's the problem with people in the various peaceful anarchism groups and voluntarist circles and general dissenters of government, where the issue becomes they regurgitate too much information. They don't explain how things are done beyond go read a book, or you just are, if you don't understand right from wrong, you're part of the problem. So if I were to ask you in a multiplication question, and I would say, well, what if I have 2 times 3? What does the 2 mean? What does the 3 mean? Well, the 2 or the 3, the 2 could mean it's 2 groups of 3 singles, or it could be 3 groups of 2 singles. Either way, let's just start with it's one is designating how many groups there are of the other. So if it's 2 groups of 3 singles, then I can take those 3 singles apart and count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Multiplication is just a faster way of counting bigger numbers. The same thing with addition. Addition is just a faster way of counting smaller quantities of numbers. So if I have 2 plus 3, that's a group of 2 and a group of 3. The plus sign designates that each of those numbers are groups, and the multiplication sign designates that one is the number in each group, and the other is the number of those groups. So 2 plus 3 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But how many people can break that down and understand that? This is what people need to do when teaching and discussing philosophy and voluntarism and basic liberty. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of this out there. You have a lot of people that discuss concepts and talk about how politicians are sociopaths, and how politicians are corrupt, and how people are this and how people are that and how people are stupid and all these things here. But these are talking about the quality of character of people, generally speaking, and not their actual actions, why they did certain things. That's what we need to understand. Why is Donald Trump seemingly a what was it? The person called him the other day. I saw said that he was a anti-establishment candidate. He's no more anti-establishment than Bernie Sanders or George W. Bush or Abraham Lincoln were. That's just not the case. They're not anti-establishment, because the question in hand would be, well, what is the establishment? The establishment certainly is not what I previously described it as being, any kind of special government or government in particular. It's just government built upon fear. So the simplest building blocks, that's what we need to understand. And instead of ridiculing other people who promote the idea of government, we need to ask them, why do they want government? And go from there. That's the question right there. That's how we're going to make the most meaningful connections with other individuals. But we're not going to be able to do that until we do it for ourselves. We have to be able to break these concepts down. If we can't explain them, that's fine. It's okay to say, hey, look, I read this book over here. This helped me understand a lot. If you read this, come back and ask me some questions, and I might be able to explain to you how I arrived at certain answers or certain ideologies or concepts, instead of saying, oh, just go read that book if you don't understand, or you're just part of the problem. Voluntaryism, the philosophy of voluntaryism, the heart and soul of this concept is about recognizing the value other people place in their lives and what they choose to do and why they choose to do what they do in order to protect that value. When it comes to individuals who promote government, they're doing this mostly out of fear because they don't understand how to do something differently, or they don't understand how to challenge what they see as a much stronger status quo that's enforcing this idea of government upon them. So they become apathetic, or they just kind of roll over. So these are the sorts of things that we need to start thinking about and considering. Not just this whole idea of, let's just throw a bunch of information at people and call them stupid if they don't understand it immediately. Because, come on, did you understand this right away when you first saw it? And if you did, congratulations. You're very rare. Most of us are not like that. For now, I'd like to thank you for your time. If you found this helpful, please like, share, and give it a thumbs up. I base all of my work on my books Liberty Defined and Morality Defined. If you'd like to encourage more content like this, please visit my website, jimlimberdavis.com, to explore more of my works, download free copies of my books, and consider donating even just $1. Helps out a lot. So thank you very much for taking a peacefully proactive solution in raising humanity's pinnacles of success faster and more efficiently through peaceful comprehension and creation, instead of hostile ridicule and destruction.